Ellen Road for live coverage of the 3 o'clock kickoff between Leeds United and Brighton. While Leeds United may not have much to play for in terms of Premier League survival, they are currently in 14th place. They could finish as low as 16th. They could finish as high as 10th, depending on how results go over the course of today and next week. And they go up against a Brighton side who still have one eye on the potential of Champions League football. If Aston Villa are to finish in 5th place at the end of this Premier League season and win the Europa League, it means 6th place will take Champions League football into next season. With a win today, Brighton could find themselves finishing the afternoon in 6th place. They've made multiple changes against this Leeds United side who, as mentioned, don't have too much left in terms of Premier League survival to play for. They'll start with Verbruggen in goal, Veltman, Van Heck, Dunk and Kadioglu as the back four, Baleba and Gross as the 2 holding midfielders, Minter on the right hand side, De Kuyper on the left, and Hinshaw Wood playing just behind Danny Welbeck. It's a 3-5-2 formation for Leeds United with Darlow in goal, Rodin, Biol and Bunau as the 3 centre-backs, with Justin and James given the freedom to operate as wing-backs on either side, Stark, Ampadu and Tanaka as the 3 midfielders, Aronson and Calvert-Lewin as the 2 strikers. The referee, Michael Oliver, leads the players out onto the field here at Ellen Road, with Stuart Atwell in charge of VAR for this afternoon. Ampadu is the captain for Leeds United, and Lewis Dunk the captain for Brighton, both called into the middle for the coin toss to determine who it is that will get things underway for us. It has been a rejuvenation for Brighton and for Fabian Hersler after not many people actually expected Brighton to be fighting for, at the very least, Champions close of play this weekend, depending on how things go for Brentford. A win could take them above Bournemouth into 6th place in the Premier League, with just 1 game left to go for both of these sides next weekend. There are other games to tell you about that are going on at 3 o'clock this Sunday afternoon. Brentford take on Crystal Palace, Everton take on Sunderland, Wolves will take on Fulham, and of course here at Ellen Road it is Leeds United against Brighton, with plenty at stake for the visitors as the 2 sides make it back into the respective halves for the team huddles to take place. We'll keep you up to date with the scores elsewhere and the implications they will have on this game and the 2 sides taking place this afternoon, and how that may affect Brighton's chances of playing in Europe next season. Still, with 2 games left to go, there is plenty to play for the visitors. A chance of finishing in the top 10 is still there for Leeds United, and what a successful season that would be considered when all things said and done. Of course, lost in the semi-final of the FA Cup to Chelsea just a couple of weeks ago, with Callum McFarlane's first game in charge. So a semi-final of the FA Cup and survival in the Premier League will be a great result for them. And it is Brighton that get things underway for us, with Hinshaw Wood doing the honours and playing this back to Van Heck, who goes all the way back to Lewis Dunk and plays this back to Verbruggen for an early touch for the goalkeeper in this game. In all yellow for Brighton of Albion, all white for Leeds United. And Van Heck on the edge of the area now, sends this ball out to the left hand side. James is going to chase this. He's not going to be the only one. It is chased down by Yakuba Minter, and it's gone out of play anyway, but we've been given a free kick for offside against Yakuba Minter, because both him and James went in tangling for the ball anyway. And it's just inside of the area where this free kick will be taken from for Leeds United, as Blues make their way out onto the field. It's the final home game of the season for Leeds, and they'll be wanting, of course, to end that on a high, as the Blues have now been popped by the players. Carl Darlow will take the free kick from just inside of the area, and it goes deep into Brighton's half, headed away by Van Heck, back down by Stark, chased down by Calvert-Lewin, gets there just outside of the area, chips into the middle, targeting Aronson, but it's headed away by Van Heck out to the right hand side still with James cross comes into the middle, and Verbruggen catches this at the back of the 6-yard box and holds on to the ball there. Now rolls it out to Lewis Dunk, still inside of his area currently. Dunk goes back across the middle to Verbruggen on the edge of the 6-yard box. Verbruggen will take this to the edge of the area as Van Heck steps away, leading himself out from the back. Only Lewis Dunk stays back for Brighton now, and it's powerful ball forward up towards Danny Welbeck, headed away by Biol. Comes back in his direction though, and it's with Gross. Now to Welbeck again, out to his left-hand side for Minter on the edge of the area. Chance to get across into the box. It's blocked now by Roden and goes out of play for a throw into Brighton on that left-hand side. As Minter has immediately switched over with Kadioglu on either side. And De Kuyper will drop in at left-back for Brighton, and he'll take this throw-in from that position, just on the edge of the area on the left-hand side for Brighton now, as another blue makes its way onto the field. Long throw into the 6-yard box, headed away by Roden, back in that same direction, and there'll be a throw-in from a couple of yards further forward on that left-hand side again for Brighton, as De Kuyper makes his way 5 yards down the line. Another long throw expected into the area to put the pressure on this Leeds United defence early on. In it goes, and it's headed away by Ampadu. Back to De Kuyper. Cross goes in towards the back post. It's headed back across the face of goal, but hits the side netting on its way through, making the run at the back post was Veltman. Just couldn't quite keep it in play when he tried to divert it back across the middle to give his chance the side of taking an early lead. And there'll be a Leeds United goal kick, of course, again. Plenty of positional changes still expected in the Premier League with 2 games left to go. Shows just how close it has been over the course of this season. Only Arsenal and Manchester City have had more points in the Premier League in the last 10 games than Brighton, and Arsenal are on the same amount of points as Brighton, both with 22 from the last possible 30. Shows the turn in form that they've had and why it's left them fighting for European football, as the long throw down the line by Roden is headed away again back towards Minter. In goes Aronson, flicks over towards James, who's hit in the back there, and then the challenge comes in from De Kuyper, who gets himself in the way and then goes down to ground. Wants a free kick, nothing given. It's going to be a throw-in on the right-hand side to Leeds United. Linesman took one look at the situation and decided to give a throw-in in Leeds United's favour. It was a certain dive there from Belabor. You see too often that players try and get themselves between the player and the ball and just go down to ground to try and win a free kick, and the referee wasn't fooled this time as the long throw comes in by Ampadu around the penalty spot, headed away again by Minter out towards James. Ball back in over the top, headed down by Calvert-Lewin, and it's going to be a free kick in Brighton's favour as now a beach ball's made its way onto the field as the end of the season theme seems to start making its way around Ellen Road. The feel of the conclusion of a Premier League season is what's felt in and around this ground at the moment. As back to his feet is Roden, but he's got a little limp about it, struggling to run this one off. Went in and collided with Van Heck as the two of them went up for the ball, and it was Bernal that headed the ball away in the end for Leeds United. The free kick was given in Brighton's favour, but it's Roden that seems to have come off worse than Van Heck from the challenge. And Van Heck that gets the ball now, plays this up to Welbeck. Back to Van Heck again, into the channel looking for options. Now to Welbeck, out to the right-hand side and back into his own half for Van Heck once more. Switches this out to the left-hand side. He's got Dunk alongside him. Then plays it over the top towards Cuba Minter. First touch manages to beat James, takes this into the area. Minter chips it in, it's headed away by Roden. It's back towards James, whose clearance taken a deflection off De Kuyper, and it's fallen down the line over the top by Ampadu, flicked on by Aronson. And Calvert-Lewin can't get onto the end of it. And it's with Dunk, who plays this all the way back to Verbruggen just outside of the area. Takes a touch to knock this to his right-hand side. Now it goes to Van Heck. Down the line from Van Heck. Over the top, again into the channel for Minter to chase towards the corner flag. Minter controls possession just outside of the area. He's got support arriving in the box. Tries to beat James. Passes blocked. Isn't out of play. James clears his lines. Brought down by Dunk, and it's now with Belabor. Attempts to turn on the ball, but goes back to Van Heck anyway. And out to his right-hand side now with a pass to Veltman. Veltman by the touchline, support there for him. Plays it down to Kadioglu, and into his own half now back to Van Heck. Across the middle to Dunk. Just outside of the centre circle, and in his own half now takes his way into Leeds United with that pass to Van Heck. Dunk still alongside him. Through the middle, gets a immediate pass back from Pascal Gross. And then Belabor, out to Veltman, down the right-hand side now with Kadioglu. Cross comes in towards the middle. Darlow hesitates, headed away by Roden. Still on the left-hand side, just outside of the area. Cross comes back in from Minter. Headed away, though, this time as far as Belabor. Sends it goalwards into the arms of Darlow. Inside the 6-yard box. Tried to find it in that bottom corner, but Darlow was already too far over on that right-hand side that it was not going to be too much of a... Away it goes up towards Calvert-Lewin, headed away by Veltman, brought down by Ampadu. Out to his left-hand side now to Stark. Now Tanaka. All the way back to Bunau. Still inside of his own half currently. Bunau goes back to Darlow. Up the middle to Ampadu. Ampadu over the top down that left-hand side. Controlled here really well on the left-hand side by Justin. Justin takes it into the area, gives it to Calvert-Lewin, who's gone down, and the clearance comes in from Van Heck. Leeds United are calling for a penalty. I think the decision is going to be to give a corner. The challenge that came in at that point, the long ball over the top first of all by Ampadu. Onside is Justin when he made that run, because Van Heck had dropped a few yards further back and he had to try and make up that ground as Justin played it into Calvert-Lewin. He played the ball behind him, in goes Justin for the run. I think that's where Calvert-Lewin wanted the penalty. It's not been given. It's a corner to Leeds United, outswinging corner on the right-hand side now, in towards the mix, headed away by Dunk. James back into the middle, brought down again by Dunk, this time hunted clear up towards the halfway line, and out of play. It's going to go for a Leeds United throw-in. In fact, Tanaka's going to keep it in play instead and plays it all the way back to Darlow on the edge of the area. He plays it out to Justin on the left-hand side, too much on the ball, and out of play. It will go for a throw-in this time. Well, good news for Brighton is this point will move them up into 7th place, as Brentford are trailing by a goal to nil against Crystal Palace. So it's Brentford 0, Crystal Palace 1. Is the latest score. Penalty from Ismaila Sarr, the difference between the two sides. It means there's 3 points the gap between Brighton and Brentford, and it ends the Bees' chances of getting themselves into 6th place with 1 game left to go. Throwing on the right hand side now for Brighton, taken by Veltman. Out of play it goes again by Tanaka, and now it's a throw for Leeds United inside of their own half, thrown back by Justin. Goes to Banal and then all the way back to Darlow. Out to Roden now on the edge of the area. Roden goes back to Darlow just outside the 6-yard box. First time clearance upfield from him. Headed on by Calvert-Lewin. Aronson's going to try and get there ahead of Van Heck. Dunk's going to jump for the ball, and Aronson wins it back now for Calvert-Lewin. Brings this down for Stark. Tries to get it through the middle. Tackle comes in. It's only given the ball as far as Aronson. Now for James. Crossing towards the back post to Optimistic, and out of play with a goal kick is the outcome. And the goal kick that Buggen will not be in a rush to take. Allowing his players to regroup, as they all seemed a little bit all over the place defensively there, did Brighton. Tackle from De Kuypen, left open James on that right hand side. It ended up being Belabor that cut across to try and cover that angle, and the cross came in towards the back post that Justin just couldn't quite get onto the end of. Now it's with Verbogen. Great direct free kick upfield, brought down by Justin. Now for Tanaka. Out to Stark. Stark's tripped by Belabor, and we'll have a free kick now to Leeds United inside of their own half. Nice lively start from both of these sides. Know they've got their own things to play for, their own targets to achieve by the end of this season. Played now to Roden. Now to Tanaka. Back inside to Roden on the edge of the area. Plays it back to Darlow. Just inside of his area at the moment. To his left hand side. Some space here for Banal. And then to Justin. First time clearance goes up. Brought down by Calvert-Lewin. Out for Tanaka. Tanaka tries to bring it back towards the halfway line. He's struggling at the moment. Plays this ball off to Stark, and now to Ampadu. Out to the right hand side for Roden. Roden in plenty of space down this right hand side. Takes it to the edge of the area. Plays it inside to James. Chance here as he puts it onto his left foot. Sends it goalwards. And it drifts wide. He wants a corner. He's going to get one. Takes a deflection on its way through. Sorry, the referee's just pointed to give a goal kick. James was making his way over to take the corner because he was so confident that's what the referee was going to give, and initially he did. After second guessing, he's decided to give it as a goal kick, saying it came off the outside of the boot of James, and he's nodded saying it was a corner initially, but then changed his mind. And the goal kick ultimately was the right decision. Off balance was James when making the effort to send that goalwards. And from the goal kick, away it goes by Verbogen, comes straight back towards him. And it's cleared away by De Kuypen, up towards halfway. Brought down by Tanaka, back out to his right hand side. Challenge comes in here, down the left hand side. There's Minter making a run. The cross comes Ampadu to try and cover. Minter puts the cross in, it's blocked by Ampadu. That'll go behind, and it'll be Brighton's first corner of the afternoon. out on the left-hand side. 11 minutes just gone here at Ellen Road. If you are just joining us, Leeds United 0, Brighton 0. Thank you for choosing Flash as your unofficial coverage of the Premier League this Sunday afternoon, bringing you coverage of all the Premier League games, and of course the evening kick-off between Newcastle and West Ham that has some implications itself. Of course, West Ham fighting for safety up against Tottenham as the only two sides that could be joining Wolves and Burnley in the Championship next season. And Gross will take this corner from the left-hand side and in to the left-hand side. And Justin's going to chase this down. And it's going to go out of play before he gets to it, and it's going to be a throw-in on the right-hand side now for Brighton. And Justin towards the back post. It was back across the face of goal, and Brighton just couldn't seem to make good of the chance. It was Veltman with the effort. After the outstretched arm of Darlow just directed it and diverted it away from Pascal Gross. Throw-in taken. Yeah, gives the ball away to Brighton, and it goes back to Van Heck. Now to Dunk. And the Kuipin gets there to save him and bail him out. Goes all the way back to Verbruggen. Verbruggen onto his right foot, can't get the ball away. Up towards the halfway line. Brought down by Tanaka. Now to the right hand side for James. That's Stark overlapping him on that right hand side. Stark in the challenge. Down the line it goes. Controlled here by James. Twisting and turning from him. Now to Aronson. Rodin still to the right hand side. Rodin back to Aronson. Turns back on the ball. Welbeck with the challenge, wins it back for Brighton, and now Welbeck pushing forward, and Brighton with a chance. Inside it goes to Gross, back to Welbeck, out to the right hand side now. Here finds some space for Kadioglu on the edge of the area. There's options in the middle, puts it in towards Gross. It's over everybody, and that'll go out of play for a throw in right beside the corner flag for Leeds United as James just watches it go. Leeds United will have the throw-in now inside of their own half. Deep inside of their own half. Another line that will go from James. And headed back out of play. A few yards gained down that right-hand side for Leeds United. Working their way out of trouble inside of their own half. Brighton starting to pile that pressure as Rodin goes it down the line again. Headed back by Dunk. And he goes back to where he was originally, loses a few yards this time, but still on the right hand side. Rodin with the throw again down the line towards Calvert-Lewin. Dunk again wins the header, back over the top this time. It's headed down towards Rodin, who can't keep it in play. It'll be a free kick instead. The light flag's gone up saying Minter was in an offside position when Dunk headed that back over the top. And from the edge of the area, it'll be a free kick now for Darlow to take. That 3-point gap between Brighton and Brentford still remains as it is at the moment. Headed away by Dunk now, and we'll have a throw-in on the right-hand side. It's in a dangerous position with Ampadu coming across to take a long throw into the area. Plays in and around the 6-yard box here, as up from the back comes all three centre-backs, Beale, Rodin, Bunau, all in the area currently. Long throw on its way from Ampadu. In towards the penalty spot. Flicked on by Bunau and cleared away up towards Tanaka. Controlled around the centre circle, and back it goes now to Ampadu. In the same position from taking the throw-in. Plays inside to Stark now. Stark's cross over towards the back post. Headed away by Veltman. To get there just ahead of Justin making that run. Still with Tanaka currently. Goes back to Justin. And now to Ampadu. Out to the left hand side for Tanaka. Tanaka with a cross coming in towards the back post, heading towards Calvert-Lewin, but it's caught and held on to by Verbruggen inside the 6-yard box. Rolls this out to Van Heck on the right hand side. Into the middle to Pascal Gross, and then back to Van Heck. Takes it to his left. Plays it out now to De Kuipin. Into his own area now for Dunk. Into the 6-yard box for Verbruggen. Into his right hand side. Distributes this out deep to the right. Headed away again by Bunau. Controlled by Justin, who's tripped there by Welbeck, and it'll be a free kick to Leeds United inside of their own half now. Back up to his feet almost instantly is Justin. He's chased down for the ball, but the initial cross that came in is it was away by Veltman, but there's calls for a potential handball there that knocked it away from the head of Biol that was declined. It's now Leeds United in possession inside of their own half again. Plays this ball forward to Calvert-Lewin. Flag goes up. Offside for Calvert-Lewin. Free kick to Brighton inside of their own half now. And what started as a lively first 10 to 15 minutes for both of these sides just seems to have simmered slightly. Leeds United piling the pressure on Brighton, just trying to get an early goal. Brighton, of course, desperate to get themselves a goal to close that gap on Bournemouth. Not playing this afternoon are Bournemouth, but they'll be in action on Tuesday night against Manchester City. There's coverage of that also here on Flashscore. Out to the right hand side now to Veltman. Takes this into Leeds United territory. Goes back to Baleba. Across the middle now to De Kuypen. Kuypen's cross comes in, headed away by Roden. Looks further back by Baleba to Van Heck. Out to his right hand side to Veltman. Veltman has to go all the way back to his goalkeeper. And out it goes now to Dunk. And now Van Heck finds that gap through the middle. Here it is with Gross. Out to Kadioglu. And into his own half now, back to Van Heck. So with De Kuypen to the left hand side, trying to move himself slightly further away from Stark. Instead it goes out to Veltman. Out to Kadioglu. Back to Veltman. Veltman inside to Dunk. Dunk just outside of the centre circle. Out to the left hand side now for Minter by the touchline. Minter goes back towards the halfway line and plays this to Dunk. Dunk inside now to Van Heck. Into the opposition half outside the centre circle. Up to Welbeck. Welbeck lays this off for Baleba. Baleba out to the right hand side now. First touch by Veltman. Options in the middle. Veltman's cross comes in towards the middle. Headed away again. Now to play for a throw into Brighton. Out on that right hand side. Taken down for Kadioglu. Can't get a foot of the ball, and the tackle comes in from Justin and wins the throw-in for Leeds United out on that left hand side, about equal with the edge of the area. The chances just start to build up a little bit more now for Brighton. To put this Leeds United defence under a bit more pressure than they anticipated. Just under 20 minutes gone. It's Leeds United 0, Brighton 0. And throwing down the line from Justin. He's headed back by Gross, and away it goes by Biol up towards the halfway line. Now Tanaka. Up goes Calvert-Lewin. Flicks this down, and Baleba brings the ball down, but the referee gives a free kick just outside of the centre circle for the challenge from Calvert-Lewin. Just as Calvert-Lewin's getting back to his feet, Dunk is doing so, but slightly slower at the moment. Just a nudge in the back of Lewis Dunk. And that does look like quite a nasty one for how somebody can put that sort of pressure with the studs. Calvert-Lewin, nothing intentional, has gone to check that everything's alright with Dunk, who's back to his feet, and we'll have this Brighton free kick now. Back it goes to De Kuypen and then to Dunk. Back to De Kuypen again. And inside now to Baleba. Across to Van Heck. Again inside the centre circle. Now to his left hand side for Dunk. Dunk out further to the left hand side for Minter. Minter puts a cross in towards the back post. It's headed back across by Kadioglu. Away it goes by Biol. And further away by Aronson. Back into a dangerous position by Van Heck. And it's cleared away by Brighton. Up towards the halfway line. And possession back inside of their own half. Helps us all the way back to his goalkeeper. It's with Verbugging currently. It's on the edge of the 6-yard. Side for Gross. Gross down the line for Veltman. by the touchline. Veltman brings it back, still with Gross currently, all the way back to Van Heck. Van Heck on the edge of the area, out to his right hand side for Veltman, down the line for Karioglu. Karioglu tries to get the cross in, has to twist and turn on the ball still. Aronson closing him down, making this difficult for him. Goes back to Veltman towards the halfway line. Veltman's ball back into the channel. Justin's going to get there first. Can't clear the ball well enough, and it's now with Bonau. Tries to come out from the back. Tackle comes in from Veltman. Balls to Justin on that left-hand side, whose clearance goes down the line. Aronson flicks this on for Calvert-Lewin, who tries to hold the ball up and play it back down the line for Aronson. But it's blocked and out of play, and away come Brighton down the left-hand side with a chance here, but James covers quickly, and it's gone out of play for a throw-in to Brighton on the left-hand side. Leeds trying to cover the lines almost immediately after. And everybody behind the ball there. As soon as Verbruggen had punched the ball away, everyone just prepared themselves to get in the way of Dan James's effort. From the left-hand side, it's taken to Van Heck, who set this ball to get it clear, but it's up towards the halfway line where Calvert-Lewin will lay the ball off for Justin. There's 2 free kicks there that could be given by the referee, and he's opted to give him the one against Veltman, who appears to be winded from the challenge with Justin. The Leeds United fullback and the Brighton fullback just interacting as Veltman gets back to his feet, and a free kick will be taken from just outside of the centre circle. Everybody back for Brighton at this point as the ball over the top goes towards Roden, back across the middle, away by Van Heck to the edge of the area. James puts it back into a dangerous position. Justin's going to chase this, gets there ahead of Veltman. By the touchline again, goes back to Ampadu. Inside now to Stark and then to Tanaka. Back to Stark. Cross comes in towards the middle. Flicked on into the middle by Biol, who's gone down inside of the area, and a free kick's been given in Brighton's favour. He was tripped over by Van Heck, who was already on the ground. The free kick's been given for the reason that Van Heck's ended up on the ground, and that was a collision with multiple Leeds United players in the middle. So that free kick will now be taken. I'm just looking at the replay of that effort from James. As I mentioned that loads of players have got into the way to try and block the effort. It may well have come off the left arm of Lewis Dunk, who stretched his arm out slightly to his left hand side. And away it goes now by Verbruggen, headed away by Biol. Van Heck's going to get there and head it all the way back to his goalkeeper, and again it's with Verbruggen inside of the area. Well, everything's going in favour at the moment of Brighton, except for the result in this game. As it stands, Brentford are trailing by 1-0 at home to Crystal Palace, and Wolves now lead against Fulham by 1-0, which means as it stands, Brighton comfortably obtained 7th place in the Premier League. On the line the ball's played. James tries to keep this in play after a missed control the first time, and the Koipin gets in the way of the cross, and it's turned behind for a corner out on the right hand side for Leeds United. James will step away, and one of the tallest players on the field will come across to take this in Stark. And up from the back comes again all 3 centre-backs for Leeds United into the areas. We reach the half-hour mark here at Elland Road. Leeds United 0, Brighton 0 is the scoreline. As it stands, it leaves Brighton in 7th place. Fulham, who could have been closing in on them with back-to-back victories, sit on 48 points, down in 12th place. It means that it makes things a bit more comfortable for Brighton. Makes things a bit easier for Leeds United if they were to try and leapfrog a couple of sides with a goal this afternoon. They keep up with Crystal Palace. They'd go above Newcastle United, but with Crystal Palace leading by 1-0 against Brentford, Leeds fall to 15th as it stands. Now it's with Brighton in possession with Bart Verbruggen inside of his area currently. Looking out to either side, he's got Van Heck to his right, Dunk to his left. He'll come out from the back again to Brighton. Get across to his left hand side. De Koipin gets there as it's left by Dunk. Right footed clearance brought down by Stark, and it's Leeds United currently inside of Brighton's half. A lovely ball towards James. Side tackle comes in there from Dunk. Gets there first, and then James tries to get there to get to the ball, and he feels like he should have had at least a free kick, if not a corner. But De Koipin managed to get the tackle in. He looks to the linesman like he feels that that's come off James fairly and out of play for a goal kick, but James got into the way and then was nudged down, and the tackle that was made in the end by the Kuiper just knocked the ball onto James and out of play. He wanted a free kick if not a corner, and the result is a goal kick to Brighton. Dunk will take this short to Verbruggen inside the 6-yard box. He gets the ball away upfield and away by Roden towards the halfway line. Challenge made again, but it's been given in Leeds' favour. Going to be taken by Roden, playing as the right-hand side of that back three. Normally the wing-backs would come across to maybe take these throw-ins, but not on this occasion. Roden throws this down the line, headed on by Calvert-Lewin in towards Aronson, who's trying to find the gap for James. Lays this ball off to Calvert-Lewin on the edge of the area. Goes back towards his own halfway line now to Roden, and now Tanaka brings it inside to Stark. Back towards Roden inside the area, and it's turned behind by Dunk, but it's come off the foot of Roden on its way through, and out of play it will go for a goal kick to Brighton. But Leeds United starting to play some nice build-up football. They did play patient early on. One-touch football just got them into Brighton's area. I think Roden knew that was going to be a goal kick. It's almost an immediate decision from the referee, no wasting his time before awarding it. We do have a bit of a problem for Brighton, and that is that Cuban Minter seems to be struggling at the moment. He's back up to his feet and he is trying to run this off, but doesn't look extremely serious. We've not needed physios on the field just yet, but he's struggling due to an off-the-ball incident, which is always a bit more of a concern. Gross lets this run though to Welbeck, who takes a touch. Out it goes to Gross, but it's won back by Aronson. A free kick's given in Brighton's favour just inside of their own half, and Brighton, for the last 5 minutes or so, have struggled to get out of their own half. Leeds United have held them at bay for now. Thus it goes by Gross to Van Heck, and back to Gross again inside the centre circle. Out to the right-hand side for De Kuiper. Kuiper back into his own half to Dunk. And Dunk now to Van Heck. So outside the centre circle. Down the right-hand side now for Kadioglu. Back into his own half for Veltman. Now Van Heck. Out to Dunk. Dunk's first time clearance is rolled across the floor, but James gets there first. Only gives the ball away to Belabor. Now to the left-hand side to De Kuiper. To Welbeck, first time touch to try and lay that through for Minter, but alert to it is Biol. He gets the ball back into Brighton's half, and it's controlled by Veltman. Veltman out to his right hand side now for Kadioglu. Back into his own half now to Van Heck. Takes us into the opposing half, and Van Heck out to his right hand side again to Veltman. His options down the line, still with Welbeck through the middle, gives it to Van Heck again. Switched over towards the back post. Minter's found himself some space in there, plays it back across the middle, and it's always into the arms of Darlow, because there's no Brighton players gambling in that final third. Minter, who managed to make the run at the back post, just looking, was onside when the ball was played. There's nobody in the box there for him. He's played it back across the middle, and the furthest player forward is Pascal Gross, who's lined up as a holding midfielder at this point. I'm not quite sure what's happened to Danny Welbeck, but he wasn't in the middle trying to gamble on that ball back across from Minter. And out it goes to James now. His cross comes into the middle, and it's caught by Verbruggen inside his 6-yard box. He'll roll this out to the right hand side again to Veltman. Veltman brings it back inside to Van Heck. Van Heck across one more to Dunk. And then Dunk up through the middle. That's the ball to Gross, who has to turn back to his left hand side and play it back to Dunk, just because of the pressure that Leeds are applying inside of Brighton's half. Dunk on the edge of the area, now across to Van Heck. Now to De Kuiper. To the middle, taken by Gross. Across to the right hand side to Dunk. And now Belabor. Inside to Van Heck. Into Leeds' half. Onto his right hand side for Veltman. Support by the touchline. Plays his ball to Kadioglu. Now back to Gross. Inside to Van Heck. Still inside of Leeds United's half. Just outside the centre circle currently. Now to Dunk. Out to the right hand side. Left to run to Veltman. Inside to Gross. Down the line to Kadioglu. Leeds United on the back foot now. Goes back again to Veltman. Gap opening up through the middle, but That's closed down by Tanaka, who's got nowhere else to go, and he's forced to go across to Belabor. Across the middle it goes now to Dunk, and inside it goes to Van Heck. Van Heck looking out to the right hand side for Veltman. Veltman's first touch beats his man. Options in the middle, doesn't get the cross in just yet. Takes his time, cross then comes in, and it's headed behind by Biol, allowing more Brighton players to get into the mix. Now they're going to have a corner, 2 defenders. Welbeck was making his way past the penalty spot. He was the intended target, but even at the back post there was Nkuba Minter. And Brighton just seemed to start to work their way into Leeds United's half, and defensively there were a couple of players just making themselves available at that back post. Had it not been for Biol heading that behind, there were plenty of options for Leeds United inside of the area. And swinging corner on its way now from the right hand side. Again, options around the 6-yard box. It's De Kuyper, the one to take it. Left-footed in swinger, goes in towards the back post. It's headed goalwards by Dunk, but lands in the stand. There'll be a goal kick to Leeds United. The challenge between Dunk that was going on with Roden seems to have worked in favour of the Brighton captain. Not too much under the ball though on this occasion. Conceding a goal kick, missing the chance to give his side the lead. Played out from the back now by Bunau. Gets it to Justin, and back it goes to Bunau just on the edge of the area. Closed down by Gross, but gets the ball away. Over the top into the channel. Calvert-Lewin's going to chase it. Dunk plays it all the way back to Verbruggen. Just outside the 6-yard box. He plays it back to Dunk. Dunk up through the middle. Gross lays this ball off for Belabor, who loses out on the challenge. Out to the left-hand side for De Kuyper. And Verbruggen's going to pick this ball up. Leeds United are calling for a pass back. Verbruggen's still got the ball in the 6-yard box. He's put the ball down now. Always a question as to whether the referee, it's at the discretion really, whether they feel that it was an intended pass back to his goalkeeper. Leeds United felt it were. The referee disagrees. It's with Bunau now on the edge of the area. Goes all the way back to Darlow. First time clearance from the 6-yard box out to the left-hand side. Headed out of play by Veltman. Goes up to the 50-50 challenge there with Justin. Going on the left-hand side now, to be taken by Leeds United as they're just inside of their own half. Neither side really wanting to post too much in the final third. This switch across, De Kuyper gets there just ahead of James. This is clearance away, goes back towards Stark, headed away by Dunk. And then De Kuyper goes in for the challenge with Stark, plays it all the way back to Verbruggen. First time clearance from him up towards the halfway line. Headed away out to the right hand side. James is going to try and get there, but it's headed out of play by De Kuyper. Going on the right hand side now for Leeds United, just in front of the technical area. And across to that right hand side comes Roden to take. So with options down the line for him, we'll perhaps try and work the line on this occasion. Coming across from the centre is Calvert-Lewin. That's where he intended the ball to get to, but it's headed away by Belabor, and then further up into Leeds United's half by Van Heck, helped all the way back by Justin. And now Darlow plays it out to his right hand side for Biol. Roden further to the right hand side as Biol makes his way into the opposing half. All over the top, all the way through to Verbruggen, who will catch that no problem around the penalty spot. And we'll wait for Van Heck to get back to the edge of the area before he rolls this ball out. And out it goes now to Gross. Gross back to Van Heck. Down the right hand side is Veltman, pass in the middle to Belabor. Back to Van Heck. Out to the right hand side for Veltman. And inside to Van Heck. Now to Gross. Switches this over to De Kuyper. First touch gets this away from Stark. Lays the ball into the path now of Hinshelwood. Lays this ball off again. Now to Belabor. Hinshelwood moves to his right hand side. Belabor out to the left for Minter. Challenge comes in from James. It falls back to Dunk. Back to the left hand side towards Minter. Too much on the ball and out of play. Will go for a goal kick to Leeds United as we're into the final 5 minutes of regular time at the end of this first half, as Beach Balls still make their way onto the side of the pitch. It's the final home game, of course, of the season at Ellen Road. It'll be a nice welcome return back to the Premier League for Leeds, having struggled through getting themselves back into a return, managing to survive with the other two clubs, of course, in and around the battle. Sunderland further up the field in terms of the Premier League positioning at the moment. Burnley making an instant return back to the Championship, brought down now by Aronson. Out to the right hand side for James on the edge of the area. James tries to beat his man. De Kuyper's trying to close him down. Cross comes in towards the middle. It's just over Aronson. It's headed behind by Kadioglu. And out to play for a Leeds United throw-in corner on the left hand side. Well built up again on this right hand side by James. He's up against De Kuyper and he's been given an extra yard, which shows him down the wing. As the cross comes in, there's not really too much else that Brighton can do defensively. Kadioglu's got a player just behind him, has to turn the ball away from him. And James just discussing with Calvert-Lewin the cross that came in, but we've got a corner out on the left hand side, in swinger towards the near post, headed away by Baleba, going to be chased down by Minter. Gets the ball there and is lost out in the end to Tanaka, who plays this all the way back to his goalkeeper, and Darlow will get there. And we'll play this out to the left hand side. Headed away again by Baleba. Into the middle now for Gross. Across the middle it goes. Hinshelwood now finds one over for De Kuyper. Kuyper back inside for Hinshelwood. And then out to his right hand side for Van Heck. Now to Dunk inside of the centre circle. Out to his left hand side for De Kuyper. And now Minter. As Rodon to try and beat down the left hand side. His cross is blocked. And out to play will go for a corner to Brighton on the left hand side now. With Minter causing a lot of problems out on that wing. Kadioglu's done very similar on the right hand side from that attacking four. Kadioglu and Minter have certainly been the two that have been more involved in this first half. Hinshelwood and Welbeck, Hinshelwood's had to drop back a couple of times, but Welbeck's been quite isolated in that final third. They've really struggled to get the ball to him of any effect. And we'll try again now with an in-swinging corner from the left-hand side for Pascal Gross. Bunts in the middle. Alongside him is Van Heck in and around the 6-yard box. He's just outside of the areas. The cross comes in towards the middle. Strong hand by Darlow again. It falls to Kadioglu, who hacks away at his effort but can't get it connect him. Takes it out to the right hand side, gets his cross back in, it goes over everybody and falls to Dunk. Keeps this in play now to Gross. Gross decides to send it goalwards. It's a wonderful save. It's back across the middle. How has Van Heck not turned that in? That effort from Gross. Darlow had to readjust and managed to push the ball what he thought was wide, but it was kept in play on that right hand side by Kadioglu, who played it across the middle of Van Heck, who must have been about 2 yards out. Has somehow managed to head the ball over, and he's not quite sure how. Certainly onside, because it looked to me like the ball had been played back to Van Heck. It's a lovely save by Darlow in the first instance, and Kadioglu's ball back across. I don't think Van Heck knew too much about it, and was on the back foot, which is how he's managed to head that over. A great save in the end by the goalkeeper, and that's the one that we'd like to fixate on, because that is what's kept things at bay currently. Now into Brighton's half, headed away by Van Heck. Hinshelwood out to the right hand side, dropped off by Kadioglu for Gross. Up against Tanaka currently. Tries to beat his man still on the right hand side, goes back to Veltman. He's got Gross further home. Still looking for other options if he can push the ball forward. Have to go back to Dunk instead. Now De Kuyper inside to Dunk. Now Van Heck out to the right hand side for Veltman. He'll cross across the middle, controlled by Kadioglu. Now Hinshelwood. He get his cross in, he gets it in towards Gross, and it's headed away. Back out to the right hand side now, and it's with Gross. Now Kadioglu goes all the way back to Dunk on the edge of the area. Dunk inside to Baleba, takes this away from his marker. Can't get through the second one though, and Leeds United win it back, and there's a chance here down the right hand side with Calvert-Lewin getting away from Van Heck. A chance here for Leeds United as Calvert-Lewin takes it into the area, onto the left block, plays it across the middle. It's taken a deflection, and that's a fantastic save by Verbruggen. Both goalkeepers standing up to the tests at the moment. Out on the right hand side, a lovely ball down the line for Calvert-Lewin to chase. Had to try and bring the ball back inside as Van Heck was alongside him. Brought it in the end, couldn't get the shot away, played it across the middle. It was a clearance in the end from Veltman that bounced back off Dunk, off of his chest, and it was looping into the top corner, and it was turned behind by Verbruggen for a Leeds United corner. Out on this right hand side, 1 minute of added time has been given. We're 30 seconds into it as the outswinging corner comes into the near post, away by Baleba, still with James, back out now to the right hand side for Stark. Cross comes in, takes a deflection on its way through by Gross, flicked on anyway, effort there goalwards by Biol, but free kick's been given as Van Heck's gone up for the header. It looked like he received a hit in his shoulder from the effort by Biol. Turn that goalwards, and it will be a free kick to Brighton. Very close to hitting him in the head, did Leeds United's defender. It's a free kick to Brighton now, and this may well be the last thing we see in this first half. Both sides struggle to really get anything going. Both sides playing very reserved at the moment, but Leeds United the more composed when creating these chances, as the free kick is taken by Verbruggen. Goes all the way through to Biol, and the half-time whistle goes. It's been a very interesting first half approach from both of these sides. Fantastic save by Darlow, met by one by Verbruggen just before half-time, signalling the best chances for the two sides coming in within the last 3 minutes of the first half.
tech as well. Perry Groves and Alex Crook.
It's Brentford 1, Crystal Palace 1. The home side desperate for victory to bolster their look, and he decided a spot kick was the correct decision. Sarr almost doubled Palace's lead after being slotted in by the excellent Adam Wharton. His shot beat Kelleher but cannoned off the angle of post and crossbar, and the post came to Brentford's rescue again. Deny Jurgen Strand-Larsen with Kelleher once more rooted to the spot. Brentford level in fortuitous circumstances with a great cross into the penalty area from Yarmouk down the right hand side. JB Combo, in trying to head the ball clear, nodded it into the face of Dongo Watara. It bounced off the Brentford striker and into the top corner. Perry Groves.
Well, the Brentford players have gone in with their Dick Turpin mask on, because that has been daylight robbery cooking this first half. It should be 3-0 to Crystal Palace. That's how nuts football is, because then they go in at 1-1. Just look at all the stats, right? Crystal Palace have been excellent in this first half. Pino and Sarr have been on fire. Crystal Palace, 13 shots, 4 on target. Brentford, 3 shots. Their 1 on target is a ricochet that comes off Watara's head and flashes into the back of the net. So Brentford have been totally outplayed in this first half. But we spoke earlier, Crookie, didn't we? Be interested to see what Oliver Glasner does with, you mentioned Adam Wharton, you know, and the top players of Mele Sarr, whether he takes them off after an hour. But Keith Andrews would just be delighted it's 1-1. He can't believe that his team's still in the game.
As it stands, Brentford will hang on to that 8th spot, the final European place, but they're level on points with Everton in 9th, 2 points behind Brighton in 7th, and 3 behind Bournemouth in 6th. I'm sure that will change in the second half. Brentford 1, Crystal Palace 1.
A late winner in Scotland for Dundee. They lead Aberdeen by 3 goals to 2. They thought it was all over. Ryan Astley was never going to give it up. Dundee 3, Aberdeen 2. The former Everton youngster has got the goal. It's half-time at Molineux for Adam Bridge.
Wolves 1, Fulham 1. Matthias Mane, the youngster, is the hero and villain in the opening 45 minutes here at Molineux. An absolute rasper of a goal 25 minutes in. Good work by Rodrigo Gomez down the right-hand side. His ball across the edge of the Wolves penalty area found Hwang. Couldn't get a shooting position though, so he laid it off to Mane, who hit a real beauty past Bernd Leno in his 250th Premier League appearance. First goal since January for the youngster, who was seen as a bit of a saviour for Wolves when they started to turn things round and had some good results at the start of the year. However, he was villain in stoppage time. Fulham have wasted 2 or 3 really good chances to get themselves back on terms when Castagne's been playing really well down this right-hand side. Went for a ball inside the penalty area, got there first, and Mane, dangling out a boot, caught him on the knee. It's one of those where Tom Kirk, the referee, really did rely on VAR. It was pretty stonewall for all of us up here in the press box, but eventually, after he looked at the screen, Anthony Robinson stepped forward. He hasn't scored a goal for Fulham in the league since 2022 against Birmingham. It's the first penalty, as far as we can see, and it's his only Premier League goal, and it's that 3 minutes into stoppage time that's pulled Fulham level in this game. Half-time, Wolves 1, Fulham 1.
And in case you're wondering, Raul Jimenez on the bench, otherwise it would have been his pen because he never misses. Full times in Scotland. St Mirren 1, Dundee United 1 is a full-time score. St Mirren have to face the relegation playoff against Partick Thistle, who beat Dunfermline in the second leg on Friday night. Dunfermline have Celtic in the Scottish Cup final next Saturday, trying to stop Celtic doing the double. St Mirren stopped Celtic doing the treble. They won the League Cup against Celtic in December, but could be heading down. St Mirren 1, Dundee United 1, and Livingston 1, Kilmarnock 4 is a full time. That's 4 wins in a row to end the season for Kilmarnock. Livingston relegated. They won only 2 of 38 games and went 33 games without a win, all competitions after August. A dreadful, truly dreadful season for them. Still playing. Dundee 3, Aberdeen 2, full time from there shortly. But half times, Brentford 1, Palace 1, Everton 1, Sunderland 0, Leeds 0, Brighton 0 here at Elland Road, Wolves 1, Fulham 1, and earlier live on TalkSport it finished Manchester United 3, Nottingham Forest 2.
Game day exclusive on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Stream a massive month of sport this May on Sky Sports with a Now month membership. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
He's having a blinder. He's clipped the post. He's looking formidable. Then...
substitution.
His game might be over, but yours isn't. With Betfair's Safe Sub, your bet simply rolls onto the player coming on. Playing a different league with Betfair.
Valid on selected leagues and markets only. Applies to singles, multiples and bet builder bets on qualified player outcome selections. Does not apply to odds boost. T's and C's and exclusions apply. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Sunday Game Day Live on Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
It's frothy football, man. Sunday Game Day Live.
This is Game Day Live on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Stream every remaining Premier League game live on Sky Sports with a flexible Now membership. Let's get the latest odds from Betfair.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Play in a different league this season with Safe Sum from Betfair. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
So here at Ellen Road, Leeds 0, Brighton 0, Leeds 16-5. The draw 6-4, Brighton 11-8. It's Brentford 1, Palace 1 at half time. Brentford 5-4. The draw 7-4, Palace 11-4. It's currently Everton 1, Sunderland 0. Everton are 7-2 on. The draw is 7-2. Sunderland 11-1 to turn it around. And it's Wolves 1, Fulham 1. Wolves are 7-2. The draw 7-4, Fulham 11-10. That's all thanks to Betfair. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Play in a different league this season with Safe Sum from Betfair. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And let's remind you of the scores in Scotland. Livingston 1, Kilmarnock 4, St Mirren 1, Dundee United 1, Dundee 3, Aberdeen 2 is now a full-time score. That 90th minute winner for Dundee, who end the season winning 3 home games in a row. But for Aberdeen, a bottom 6 finish. Won the Scottish Cup last season, couldn't even finish top 6 this season. They lose on the final day. Dundee 3, Aberdeen 2. Chelsea 0, Manchester City 1. I was there at the FA Cup final for TalkSport yesterday. Perry Groves watching on as well. I actually thought it was a terrific atmosphere, really good game, brilliant winning goal, and lots of stories everywhere. And obviously since then Chelsea have appointed a new manager, Perry, so plenty going on with that FA Cup final.
Yeah, there was loads. I just think from Chelsea's point of view, I think it just shows you where they are. They played, I thought, damage limitation football, where they went like a 5-4-1, where they obviously were doubling up on Doku and doubling up on Semenyo, and that's all very. When you play damage limitation football, normally you get damaged because with the 5-4-1 shape, the 2 wide players, which was Cole Palmer was working really hard on the right hand side, and obviously Fernandes on the left hand side. Then when Chelsea got themselves in possession, they had no threat. They had nowhere to go. So if I was going to play damage, I'd go 4-5-1. So you play Fernandes and Cole Palmer centrally, Caicedo behind them. And then if you do get possession, then you can cause Man City problems. You was at the game, Aid. I just thought Man City played as if thinking we're going to score in a minute, we'll score in a minute, we'll just keep passing it. And I thought they had another 2 or 3 levels to go up, Man City. I thought they won quite comfortably.
Do you know what? There's been a few games where I've watched Man City this season and thought exactly what you said there is exactly what's going on. They knock it around, they keep possession, and they think it's a matter of time before we score. And sometimes it hasn't happened for them. And in this instance, they could have given away a couple of penalties. There were some very debatable incidents, weren't there?
Yeah, I must admit, I thought that Peter Banks, the VAR, and Downing, I thought they got them right. I don't think there was enough. The Hato one, where he did what I call the Anthony Gordon, where
yes.
you put which you do, because if you remember, we've been on PGMO calls, haven't we? And I think Anthony Gordon got 2 or 3 penalties by putting his left foot, his standing foot across, and then what you do is you encourage someone to make contact with you. So I think they've sort of become a little bit wise to that. So again, I don't think I'm with you, Wade, right? We've been right from the start. Me and you can't stand VAR, right? It's a joy sucker. It takes all the spontaneity out of the games. If a referee makes a bad call in real time, fans get the ump, but then you can get over it, can't you? Because you can understand how quickly things happen. And with VAR, it just sort of blows your mind. But I don't think any of those decisions were really bad decisions. And what's happening now with referees, because of VAR, the referees aren't giving decisions because they know, obviously, they've got the backup, don't they? They know that they can go to VAR, and if VAR does it, it's not their fault. So they absolve themselves a bit of responsibility. But in the whole game, I thought the Darling referee, I thought he refereed it really well. You know, you don't want referees to have too much impact on sort of especially big games and FA Cup finals. And I just got to talk about Semenyo, Aid, because the goal that he scored, right, you can't teach that. You can't, when you do your crossing and shooting and the ball comes, sometimes you make your run too early and the ball goes behind you, you try and flick it. If you look at him, he just does it casually, as if saying, right, I know the ball's behind me, but I know the pace of the ball, so therefore it was like a Zola Cruyff flick, wasn't it? Like where he just lets the pace of the ball hit his instep of his right foot and just sort of guides it past Sanchez. That is, I think that's art. When I'm watching that, you know, when you go, wow, have I just seen that? And then they replay it and you go, oh my God, that's the sort of goals that I scored when I was under 11, under 12. Do you know what I mean? So, and also what we've got to say, Aid, as well is, there is a snobbery about the Football League, about League 2, League 1, the Championship with players, you know, of quality. People forget that Semenyo went on loan to Bath City.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To go and get his games, then obviously at Bristol City, and then he makes his way up. So his journey hasn't been through academies, you know, where he's been the best player in the academy, and then, you know, your pathway's there. So he's had to work for his chance.
Welcome to our
and for
audio
him to go
commentary coverage. This broadcast is not an official product of this competition.
Welcome back to Ellen Road, live coverage of Leeds United against Brighton. Here we're starting the second half in the penultimate game of the 2025-26 Premier League season, with plenty for both of these sides to be playing for. It is Leeds United to get things underway for us, kicking off this second half from right to left, and a long ball over the top by Darlow immediately is headed back into Leeds United territory, and up for the ball goes Bunau, but he's caught Kadioglu on the way through. So it's going to be a free kick given, but the referee's called on for the physio to just check things through with Kadioglu. He's back to his feet, but it was a nudge in the face, so the referee just wants to check that everything is okay for Kadioglu before he is able to continue. Just to let you know, scores around the ground: Brentford 1, Crystal Palace 1 went into half-time, Utara scoring just before the break. Everton took a 1-0 lead over Sunderland, courtesy of Roll. And Wolves are now 1-1 with Fulham. Anthony Robinson scoring a penalty just before half-time there. What does that do to the Premier League? It leaves Brighton in 7th place, 2 points ahead of Brentford, 1 point behind Bournemouth, who of course play Manchester City on Tuesday. Both sides desperate need of points heading into the final game of the season. A win for Brighton would put them on 56 points, would leave them with a goal difference that's better than Liverpool's, and a chance of moving up into 5th place in the Premier League. As Leeds United take this free kick, and across it goes to Aronson on the left. Back inside now to Tanaka. And Tanaka goes across to the right-hand side for Rodon. So just to let you know, the lineups heading into this second half, no changes for either side. So for Leeds United, it's Darlow, Rodon, Biol, Bunau, Justin, Tanaka, Ampadu, Stark, James, Calvert-Lewin and Aronson. For Brighton, it's Verbruggen, Veltman, Van Heck, Dunk, De Kuyper, Gross, Baleba, Kadioglu, Hinshelwood, Minter and Welbeck. Out on the left-hand side now with Justin. Finds that overlapping run from Tanaka. Crossing towards the back post, and James can't direct it goalwards. It's away by Baleba up towards the halfway line and out of play for a throw-in out on the right-hand side. It'll be taken by Rodon back into his own half as we'll get things back underway here now. Into Ampadu. Ampadu's long ball into the channel towards Calvert-Lewin. Doesn't have enough on it, and it's headed away by Dunk. Welbeck tries to bring this down, and it's been given in Brighton's favour as a free kick after coming off the arm there of Ethan Ampadu on its way through. Ampadu chases this down the left-hand side. Now played back to Dunk. And now to Van Heck. All the way back to Darlow. And away it goes down the line. Headed away by Beal into the halfway line, controlled by Belabor. Into the opposing half now. Welbeck drops this ball off now for Gross. Out to the left hand side here. Some space opens up for De Kuyper. Finds the overlapping run from Minter on the edge of the area. De Kuyper still continues his run. Cross comes in from Minter. Takes a touch off of Tanaka, who gets this ball out to the left hand side. But away it goes by Veltman. Brought down by Belabor. Out it goes now again to Kadioglu. Back to the halfway line by Veltman to Van Heck. Into the gap here on the edge of the area. Space opens up for Hinshelwood. Chooses to take the shot but turns it over. And it'll be a goal kick now to Leeds United. On the edge of the area. Started to swirl away from Hinshelwood. Swerved away from Darlow also. But he'll have a goal kick to take now. Hinshelwood starts to get himself back into this game. Leeds United now back into their own half. Deep ball into Brighton's half though, headed away by Calvert-Lewin. He caught it off the back of his head. I don't think he was really aware of controlling that ball, and Veltman gets it. Gives it back to Van Heck, and all the way back it goes to Verbruggen inside of the 6-yard box. Out to his left-hand side now to Dunk. Dunk chips this ball over, and it's just kept in play by De Kuyper. Down the line it goes now for Belabor, trying to get past his marker, and out of play it goes by Roden. There'll be a throw-in now on the left-hand side for Brighton to take. It's into his own half by De Kuyper. Controlled by Dunk. Further back now to Van Heck. Out to the right-hand side he's got Veltman, but instead goes short inside to Gross, and back to Van Heck again, just outside of the centre circle. Van Heck plays this out to the left-hand side for De Kuyper. It gets just ahead of him. James will try and get there between him and the ball. Takes it out to the right hand side, clears the ball down the line, but it's controlled by Minter. Back it goes to Hinshelwood. His first touch gives possession back to Leeds United, but Brighton win it back immediately now with Dunk. Dunk dribbling this inside. He's brought down. A free kick in a dangerous position now for Brighton. In fact, the referee's allowed them to carry on, and it's with Gross at the moment on the edge of the area. Into the area it goes. Hinshelwood back across the middle. Chance here for Welbeck onto his left foot off the line. It pulls back to Hinshelwood again. Back across the middle. Van De Kuyper can't get it on target. And Leeds United clear the lines back out to the left-hand side again with Minter. Minter tries to beat James down that left-hand side. Takes it to the edge of the area. James goes down. Ball across the middle. And Hinshelwood puts it out of play for a goal kick. Can't get his effort on target, but that's the best chance of the game so far for Brighton. In the second half, they're really starting to take it to Leeds United. Focused in the first half on just making sure they didn't concede the goal. Out of play it went. Leeds United will go again. They need to settle things back down in this second half. It started all in favour of Brighton, headed away now by Belabor. Flicked on by Welbeck. He's going to chase this, but now tries to get there as well. Plays it all the way back to Darlow. First time clearance from him inside of the area. Headed away though out to the left hand side, brought down by Minter. Tries to switch this across to Kadioglu, who's made a collision there on his way through with Ampadu, and it will be a free kick to Leeds United as the two collided on his way through. Just outside of the area will have that free kick now. Justin will try and make himself an option by the touchline. It's on this left hand side, goes back to Darlow. Darlow across the middle now for Roden. Roden down the line, flicked on, brought down by Calvert-Lewin. Has lost his footing, but he's managed to get back to his feet just in time for the ball through and intercepts it. Goes all the way back now to Verbruggen, out to his right hand side for Van Heck. Out to the edge of the area, ball down the line. First touch by Welbeck, lays this off. Pass inside now, and a chance here for Hinshelwood to Belabor. Belabor then tripped in the end by Ampadu, helped back to his feet by the Leeds United captain. Free kick's taken quickly by Van Heck, and then he's tripped by Stark. And now into Leeds United territory. A free kick is with Brighton on the edge of the centre circle. They've tried to take this quickly. The referee's brought it back again. Played back again to Dunk. Now to De Kuyper. Up to the left hand side for Minter. Inside to Hinshelwood. Minter continues his run, but Hinshelwood goes back into his own half. De Kuyper takes the first touch and now goes back to Dunk. All the way back to Verbruggen. Out to the right hand side for Veltman. Veltman brings this inside of Tanaka. And out to the right hand side here for Kadioglu. Deep inside of Brighton's half, he's had to come back and help out. Now to Van Heck. Out to the left hand side, flicked on down the line. Minter's going to have some space if he can keep this in play. He does, and Minter continues down the left hand side. He's got options in the middle, plays it towards Hinshelwood. It's hooked clear and out of play for a corner, but Biol almost put that into his own goal. It was a scoffed clearance from him that just went in the wrong direction completely. He stepped away from Minter as he was making that run down the left hand side. The ball went across the middle as he just tried to get it away, lost his footing, lost his balance, and ended up turning it behind for a corner. It will be a Brighton corner out on this right hand side with more work to do. It will be an in-swinging corner from the right hand side by De Kuyper. The options in and around the middle, Van Heck and Dunk making the presence felt in and around the goalkeeper. Headed goalwards from the near post, and another corner's being given as Welbeck directed this, and the referee says took a deflection off Bonau on its way through. Corner now on this right hand side, and a chance for Brighton to still try and pile this pressure on. Even more so now, Crystal Palace have taken a 2-1 lead away against Brentford. It's a big part on how that could affect Brighton. Cross comes back in towards the back post, and it's headed back into play and away by Tanaka. Darlow felt that he was under a lot of pressure at that point, headed back by Minter, and away it goes by Baleba. Cross back in towards the back post, away by Justin. Now it's with Gross into the area for Kadioglu, diverts it goalwards, and it's into the arms of Darlow, who bolts onto the ball. Pulls this out now to his right hand side, just on the edge of the area, and he brings it back in, and Darlow out to his left hand side now with Bonau. Now takes it to the edge and down the line to Justin. Ball ricochets off his knee, and now it's with Kadioglu through the middle. Chance here for Hinshelwood, brings it back, but it's away by Biol. Out to the left hand side, Justin's going to get there and clears this down the line, headed back down by Veltman. Still Brighton in the ascendancy, now with Gross. Down the line to Hinshelwood. Back to Gross again, inside to Veltman. Gaps opening up as Veltman goes back down the line to Gross. And towards his own half, he'll just carry the ball currently. Back to Van Heck, then to Veltman, and Van Heck again into the middle, and it's pass that's gone to Bonau, who's played this out to the left hand side, and Calvert-Lewin's going to chase it. He's amongst 7 Brighton players. He's on his own, the only Leeds player forward. He's now got support arriving. It's gone back to Aronson. Aronson across the middle. Here we go, and a chance for Leeds United, and Stark got just too much under the ball, and it's been out of play for a goal kick again for Brighton. But that's the best chance for Leeds United of the half so far, and if Aronson had gone down, he'd won a free kick, but Stark just trying to divert it goalwards while still off balance and under pressure. Had an option out to his right hand side, could maybe have looked towards the support there of James making a bursting run forward. Just like that, Leeds United start to remind Brighton that there are still defensive duties required. It's now played back into Brighton's half with Dunk. And now Van Heck into the middle for Gross. Back to Van Heck just outside of the centre circle to his right hand side. Veltman's opening up a space here. He plays it short to Welbeck, gets the ball back to Van Heck, turns back towards his own half and makes the pass to Gross, who takes this away from Tanaka. There's a gap opening up in the middle. Gross chips this over to the right hand side. Veltman brings this down by the touchline. Gets the cross in across the middle. Controlled here by Ampadu, and a chance for Leeds United to come away again. Out to his right hand side here with Stark. Under pressure. Chips the ball over to Roden, making the run forward, and out of play it will go before he can get there to Brighton on the left hand side. As they take the throw in, the referee's just pulled a stop to things as there's a Leeds United player on the floor, and it is Aronson that's down at the moment, and perhaps a Leeds United change will be required. Might have come from the dribble just a moment ago to take the ball to the edge of the area. We haven't... Well, now the physios are coming on, but the referee didn't call the physios on, but Aronson seems to be struggling at this point, so perhaps a change for Leeds United. Well, they've got two ready, so perhaps he will be one that's coming off, and Nonto is going to be one of those that's coming on. He'll be one of those changes, and Mecca's going to be the other. And perhaps the third change inside the dugout is on the way. So we'll see just what the final verdict is on Aronson, if he's going to be one of those that will be making way. Imagine, whilst he's down currently, that might well be the case. Leeds United haven't started this second half quite as well as they'd have liked. It's going to be a Mecca and Nonto both coming on at the same time, just receiving the final instructions from manager Daniel Parker, and Sean Longstaff's going to be the third one coming on. So 3 changes for Leeds United all together, just about the hour mark here. And there's going to be your first change, and it's going to be Dan James coming off. Tanaka is also coming off, so there's your first change, is Nonto coming on for James. Tanaka leaves the field as Longstaff joins. And the last change, I imagine, would see Aronson leave the field, and then Mecca coming on in his place. So James, Aronson and Tanaka are off, and that's confirmed. And Mecca, Longstaff and Nonto are the 3 that have come on for Leeds United. As we reach the hour mark here at Ellen Road, Leeds United 0, Brighton 0. Brighton in desperate need of getting themselves on a score sheet. They need to get themselves a goal, just to add additional pressure to Bournemouth. It does mean a point for Bournemouth on Tuesday. Would close the gap slightly for them on Liverpool, but it would also make them unreachable for Brighton if they don't get a win here today. Switched over to the left hand side for De Kuiper. Tackle comes in again from Roden, out of play for a throw-in on that left hand side. Throwing now for Brighton. Sunderland have equalised against Everton as well, which halts the distance in which Brighton could drop before the end of this season. Throw comes in, headed away by Roden, headed back into play, flicked on by Baleba, and the Oglu can't send it goalwards. With Welbeck on the edge of the area, back to Gross. Now Hinshelwood, back to the halfway line to Van Heck, again to Gross, played across the middle now to Baleba.